Hello, everyone. I'm talking about, obviously, about Appcelerator Titanium. Um, just to let you know about myself, Makram Saleh. I'm a senior consultant at Born Interactive and also a teacher at ALBA and LEU. My non-official titles are I'm a developer, front-end developer, basically. Also a tech evangelist. I dabble a lot in new technologies and see what's new, what should be focused on in the company. I'm also a member of a new program called Titanium Titans. It has to do with Appcelerator Titanium, an advocate group, and things like this. So just let me know about you first. Who has developed any mobile apps? Okay, I expected to see more here. Who has done JavaScript? I think should be okay. Obviously, more people do JavaScript than mobile, since it's used on the web. The thing about the exciting thing I see here is that you can basically do mobile apps using JavaScript. All right. The thing is that you can do native JavaScript mobile apps. Okay. Are you excited about this, or do you feel like? Okay. No. So the solution here to do native apps using JavaScript is called Appcelerator Titanium. The company is called Appcelerator, by the way, and Titanium is the product. They have Titanium for desktop applications and Titanium for mobile apps. So here we are talking about mobile apps, not about the desktop applications. All right. All right. So what it is, basically, it's you can like use this software, that's the Titanium software, to do web apps using only JavaScript and all open web technologies, JavaScript, CSS, HTML. Basically, it's like 90% JavaScript, and the rest is HTML and CSS. So it's, and by the way, it's open source. So it's also, this is an important thing. I'm just I'll show, the presentation will be two parts. The first part will be like a simple overview of how Titanium works. And the rest of the application presentation will be like a small demo. It won't be live. It's here a demo that I will show, so that you get an idea how Titanium actually works. So here's a technical thing, just for the curious in you. You know that the OS usually runs here. Here we have the layer that's the native operating system. Titanium solution is basically these two layers, the blue and green. And we write a code in JavaScript and HTML that works here. So our application basically gets compiled. It's not wrapped. It's compiled to code that runs natively on the OS. All right. Currently, it supports these three operating systems: iOS, which means for iPad, iPhone, iPod, etc. You can export to Android and BlackBerry. BlackBerry is still in beta. It's been 10 months in beta. Hopefully, it's coming out soon. So, so basically, it's using Titanium, we get some APIs that we can use through JavaScript. Okay, I'll show some examples. Here's a quick overview of the available APIs. We have native UI. It's done using without any HTML, or it's just native. Accelerometer, maps and location, social APIs, camera, anything that you can think of on the device. Low-level APIs, we have somehow access to these things. Most importantly for us, sure, it's a database and the file system, the network for connecting, and etc. So I'll show some examples. Sorry, it's somehow technical, just to take a feel of how the APIs are actually bind to the JavaScript. So the code here that you see is true JavaScript code, written in the Appcelerator way, using the framework. So for example, here you can see that this view, this listing view, it's a list in a mobile app. By the way, the colors are not clear here, so it's like a listing. As you can see, we have this. This is the snippet of code that shows the table. All right. For example, if we look at the map view, this is also a native map view. You know that the phone can show maps, right? So this is a native map done in Titanium in this simple code. Okay, we defined latitude, longitude, everything. It's the people who know JavaScript can recognize the syntax. It's object notation and through JavaScript. Here's an example showing an Android alert box written also in JavaScript. So we have, you can see here a simpler example. For if you see that button, it's the native UI thing, and the event on the button is done using this code. All right, here's another example using you can use the camera, the available camera. So if you write this code, Titanium will handle the opening the camera application and snapping photos and saving them, etc. So if you want, for example, if you want to save photos from the camera to the user folder, it's just this last line. I don't know if it's visible. It's just a Boolean thing, and you can set it from here. Here's another example, also something nice. It's integrated with the Facebook and other social solutions, social media solutions. So, for example, here's the Facebook. You can see I'm using a package for Facebook on the first line, and using a function inside this package to create the button. So we'll get something like the shown button here. And when it's pressed, you can see the native Facebook familiar box with login and etc. So this is a Facebook example. Okay, so let me talk about how to develop using Appcelerator Titanium. We have this, by the way, it's free. The solution is free for the community edition, and we have an edition that's premium with more services. I'll talk about it later. This is the developer thing. It's a software that you can download and updates. It can be used, by the way, on all platforms, but for producing iOS applications, you know that you need Xcode. So Xcode runs only on Mac, so that's why you can't export unless you have a Mac. So you have to, you can, by the way, program it using any IDE, but only do it on a Mac. So let's move quickly to a simple demo application. It's going to take just 2 minutes. I'm showing you here some, this application will be like a small Twitter client that shows only one user account. Okay, so basically you start with creating a project. These screenshots are taken from the developer software. You get an application folder that looks like a very simple folder. Using also the developer, you can test it on an emulator. You have the emulator on the Mac, the software that shows you exactly how it's going to look. So here's the very basic app compiled, and it looks like this. I won't go into details here because we don't have time apparently. I'll just show it like, here's the basic application. So I'm in this code here, I'm creating the structure, the basic structure, as you can see on the right side. So here's the window and the buttons, tabs below the window. Then we have, because it's reading tweets, so I'm creating another file. It's a JavaScript file called tweets. So here we are loading the tweets, as you can see, and I have comments in the lines. If you notice how it's, for example, this is the client that will connect to the Twitter server and grabs the data. All right. So another step in the application is to read the JSON. Are you familiar with JSON, by the way? It's just JavaScript notation. So here you can simply load the JSON and parse it. Sure, here it's very simplified code. I missed a lot of lines just to show the spirit of it. So it's not a working version, by the way. Then we come to display. After loading the JSON, we come to display. Here we are like this is inside a loop, and it's looping on the rows in the JSON and adding them to a view, as you can see in the bottom of the screen. And then the listing view will be added to a table-like structure. And this table is native. It's not an HTML table. It's an iPhone listing table. And that's it. You get the application as we saw it. A last step will be to use also Appcelerator software to export it for device testing, because testing on device is something not easy, and those who work in iOS things, you know, it's a hell of a thing. So here it makes it somehow simpler to build it. Sure, using Xcode, as you can see here, we can specify the version of the SDK and etc. Then we get a full an application. Also for distribution, it compiles it for distribution as well, the same thing. By the way, when I'm talking about testing on device, and I mean the iPhone and the Android thing. So that's it. By the way. All right. What's next in the platform? We have like they acquired the Aptana company. They are making an IDE that should substitute your IDE, and it works with the developer at the same time. They're working on other modules, and also they have some paid premium features that you can check on the site. These are, by the way, the sites that you can check for samples and other things. Do we have time for questions? Or? No. Okay. Thank you a lot. Thanks.